I've seen a lot of clothing brands fuck up in spectacular fashion and make brutal mistakes that they could have avoided. Like literally that same brand could have done millions in sales if they had just known a few of these things. I've been running my own brand for 10 years. I've worked with thousands of other brands online, and honestly, I've made most of these huge mistakes myself at some point. So here are 10 things that most new brands up the most that will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars and years of wasted time. The first major thing that I see new brands do wrong all the time is they put an overemphasis on the designs and on their logo. And don't get me wrong, your designs and your logo are really important. But a clothing brand is kind of like an iceberg where 20% of it is on the surface, your logo, your products, your designs, and 80% of it, the most important part, is underneath the surface. Your branding, your website, your likability, your trustworthiness, your content strategy and your marketing strategy. A lot of brands put way too much focus on just the designs and the logo needing to be good, and they completely neglect the other 80% that's going to contribute to them truly driving traffic to their site, getting the impression and the perception of their brand that they want in order to convert them into customers. And I know this to be 100% fact that you can sell mediocre designs with an amazing brand. How do I know this? This is what I've done for my clothing brand. I don't have the best designs in the world. I know that I've built brand online. I've built trustworthiness. I've built a likability factor where when people come across my clothing brand's website, they see a bunch of cool looking designs and they want to buy. It doesn't have to be like the world's greatest design. I mean, look at the Supreme logo. Is there anything special about it? No, it isn't. It's literally a rectangular square with the word Supreme written in it in italics, and they've done hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. So if you're somebody who's overly obsessed with the designs and the logo, you need to spare some of that focus to the other areas of your brand that are equally important, if not more important, like getting your brand out there, getting reach, and creating the overall perception of your brand that will lead to sales. The second way new brands up like crazy is they have no credibility and they don't focus on getting any credibility. Credibility is value and trust. And write this down because you're gonna wanna remember it. There are 3 main ways to build credibility into your brand. The first way is the absolute easiest for any brand that doesn't have a following yet, that doesn't have any leverage, and it's authenticity. Brands that are really truly being themselves, where when you're getting on camera, you're not trying to be something else, you're just speaking from the heart, you're being who you really are as a brand owner, you're sharing your message authentically. This creates trust, it creates a vibe of, oh wow, this person's just being raw, they're being real, and people want to support you and buy from you for that. The second way to get credibility is your website quality. 8 out of 10 people will judge the credibility of your brand based on your website quality alone. So if people come to your website and it looks like crap, there's things spelt wrong, there's weird colors everywhere and the fonts are all different fonts, it just looks really weird, people get turned off by it. They say this brand looks amateur, I can't trust if my products are gonna get to me, and it just doesn't look legit. And the third way to get credibility for your brand is through social proof. This is done through having a high following on social media, getting high status people to be associated with your brand or wear your brand, get pictures of them wearing it, the number of reviews on your website, the number of pictures of customers or how many customers you've already had. All of this creates a perception of you thriving. It makes it safe for people to want to jump on board. They don't have to stick their neck out and be the first person ever to buy your clothing brand. Quick recap, be authentic, work on your website quality, make sure everything looks as good as it possibly can online, and work on getting as much social proof for your brand as possible. If you do those 3 things, you're gonna notice the perception of your brand just absolutely blows up and gets way better. The third thing most new brands up like crazy, and by the way, if you're getting value out of this, please hit the like button for me. It'd mean the world to me. I'm on fire in this one. Is they don't make enough changes in their first couple of years. Making a shitload of changes and tweaks to your brand in the first couple of years is critical to your success. Okay, this was critical to my success. What most new brands do is they launch their brand, they get way too scared to make any big changes after they've launched because, God, that would mean that they made a mistake somewhere and they just don't want to own it, and they just don't actively correct and improve things as they're running their brand. But your website, your logo, your designs, your products, your messaging, your overall brand concept, all of this is liquid in the first year or 2, okay? It doesn't need to be 6 months in looking the exact same as it did when you first launched your brand. Because a lot of this is just about making these tweaks and making these changes to find that perfect product market fit. And when you initially launch your brand, you likely don't have your product market fit perfectly honed in with your audience. As an example, my brand K-Bud, from the day that we launched to the first year in to the second year in, looked like a completely different brand. Like the messaging changed from being for hockey players to being for small town Canada. The main logo changed. All of the brand concept and the messaging and the products and the way that we were displaying them on the website, literally month to month, I was changing all of these things in a drastic way to try and get it to resonate with the audience. And it's eventually through all this iteration that you land on the perfect product market fit, and that's how we got to $70,000 a month in sales. The fourth thing that new brands f up like crazy, and it is so delusional, is they assume attention on their brand. They think that when they launch their brand, people are just gonna find out about it because they launched, and that the whole world's just gonna get like a ping in their brain and be like, oh, what, so-and-so launched a brand, I can't wait to go buy. And that's just not how marketing works. Attention is either earned or it is bought. There's no other alternative. Either you spend your own time promoting and marketing your brand, or you spend your own money, but there's no reality where the whole world just stumbles across your brand on Instagram, they go to your website and they wanna buy. There is a constant burden of performance for you to market your brand every day, every week, every month, every year, and it never ends. The second you take your foot off the gas with marketing, your sales are gonna slow down, your followers are gonna stop climbing, you're gonna stop getting attention, and your brand is slowly gonna die. Don't just assume that the day you launch, word of mouth is going to take over and market your brand from that point on. This is your point in time where you're gonna take full responsibility for marketing your brand and who sees it, who it gets in front of, and how many sales you're making. Now I have 6 more things that new brands f up like crazy that I'm gonna share with you in a second, but first I wanna let you know about my buds over at design.com, and if you need designs made for your brand, I highly recommend that you try them out. Open up a new tab and go to design.com/Rob88. Type in whatever sick idea you have for a design and hit enter. Thousands of designs are gonna come up that you can edit and refine as long as you want for free until it's perfect. I've used this to make sick designs for my own businesses. If you're interested, head over to design.com/Rob88 and you'll get 88% off at checkout. And we're back. The 5th thing that new brands up like crazy is they have a bad brand concept. A bad brand concept is where your concept for your brand, what your brand's all about, it's not clear. It doesn't make any sense. Who it's for, who the target audience is, all of the messaging, it just doesn't make any sense. Like for example, if you came out with a brand and it was called North Assembly, and you go to your website and everything just doesn't really make any sense. It's just like some random brand idea. I see this all the time. It is so insanely common. Good brands ground their concept in something real, whether that's an emotion, a lifestyle, an aesthetic. It needs to be something that is clear who it's going after, that you're able to connect with people on. For my brand, the name K-Bud comes out of the slang in small town Canada because we're going after small town Canada, and everything on our website, everything on our social media is very clear who our target audience is. And so with your brand concept, you need to get very specific, very clear on who you're trying to sell to. The 6th way new brands f up like crazy is they copy others and they don't differentiate enough. Following trends can be great when it comes to your marketing on TikTok and on Instagram, playing into trends so that you can get views, get reach, and connect with people in the way that they want to be connected with right now at this point in time. But your brand needs differentiators in order to be memorable and in order to stand out. Most brands blend in too much with the sea of other clothing brands, and they just kind of float on by like all the other brands out there, and then they wonder why they're not getting any reach, why they're not getting any special amount of sales. It's because their brand isn't special. The most memorable brands always have some sort of distinct feature about them, whether that's their marketing strategy, that's their brand concept, it's in their products. There's something about their brand that truly separates them from all of the others. As an example for this, the brand 10 Tree did this in the environmental space. Thousands of other brands representing being for the environment and caring for the environment, and 10 Tree decided, you know what, for every single product that we sell, we're gonna plant 10 trees. And the incentive that that gave people to want to buy their brand, the way that that made them just stand out from all the other brands out there, is what gave them their competitive advantage. The 7th way most new brands totally screw themselves over from the beginning is they order too much inventory. This is the biggest mistake that you can make with probably the biggest consequences for your brand. Ordering too much inventory without any proof of sales. And we like to think that when we launch our brand that things are gonna go amazing, we're gonna sell out of our first drop like easily and we're not gonna be stuck with any inventory. But that's an assumption, and that's our ego talking. In 99% of cases, the launch of your clothing brand doesn't go that way. And so it's always best to order the minimum order quantity from whatever supplier you're working with. This keeps you lean. It's not as risky. It makes you agile. If some of your clothing sucks and you didn't know it, then you can change those designs and release designs fast. But if you place this huge order for inventory that you're stuck with, you can't sell through it, literally right from the beginning, you're already pigeonholed and you can't move and you're just like, oh crap. So please be very cautious of ordering too much inventory until you have some feedback and some sales and you know you can place big orders because you know that they're selling through already. The 8th thing new brands fuck up like crazy, and this one hits home, okay? This is probably one of the biggest mistakes I've made over the past 10 years. I would have never said this years ago, but through my experience, I've learned just how important this is. Having a bad profit margin where you can't scale. If you want to be able to spend money on marketing like meta ads and make a profit, you need to have a profit margin around 70%. And this is because if your profit margin's any lower than that, your customer acquisition cost is going to be just too low in order to make ads work for you where you can do it profitably. So if that was just jumbled to you because you're not quite advanced enough to be at that stage yet, just understand this. Getting your costs down for how much you're making your clothing for is very important because this is what allows you to scale. It allows you to have a very healthy business. And so taking some extra time to talk with your manufacturers, talk with your suppliers to try to get the cost down as low as you can while maintaining your quality is very, very important and not something that you want to skip over. This is literally why for my second brand, Therapy Wear, we hit the pause button for 6 months just to try to get our costs down with our manufacturer. We're not selling any clothing, we're just working on getting that price right so that when we come back to the market, we can actually scale this up and have a healthy business. The 9th thing that a lot of brands fuck up like crazy that I thought deserved literally its own thing here is having a bad website. Because you can do everything else right. You could do social media amazing. You could have amazing ads, amazing products, amazing designs. But if all that traffic going to your website online, which is basically like your storefront, like people walking into a store, if it looks like crap and everything's displayed bad and the cashier's a dickhead, then it's really gonna hurt your brand. And so I wanna share with you some common mistakes that most new brands screw up on their website so that you can avoid this yourself. Spelling errors. Anything spelt wrong on your story, in your product descriptions, in your product titles, anywhere on your website, there's no excuse to have things spelt wrong. And if you're not sure, copy your entire website, put it on ChatGPT and say, just make sure that there's no spelling errors here. Bad photography. Don't post pictures that look like they were taken from like a 2003 Nokia on your website. Make sure that your actual website photos are super high quality because this contributes to the overall perception and value that people are getting from your brand. Colors and fonts. Make sure you only have 2 to 3 different colors on your site that complement each other and 2 to 3 different fonts on your site that complement each other. Going beyond that, unless you're some like super amazing talented designer, don't do it, it's too risky, it's gonna make your website look like shite. And then bad flow and user experience. If people can't find the add to cart button or where to check out and they're like, I don't know what the hell's going on in this website, they're just gonna click away and your bounce rate's gonna go through the roof. And the 10th thing that most new brands fuck up like crazy is inconsistency. You have to show up for your brand regularly. You can't just post a couple weeks and then stop. You can't just run ads for a couple weeks and then stop. You can't just release one batch of designs and then stop. You have to stick with it. This thing that you're trying to build only grows if you're consistent and if you stick with it for multiple years. It's literally like a tree. It needs watering, it needs the sun, and it needs it every single day for multiple years in order to grow into a massive tree that is just producing so many fruits for you as the business owner. Now please, if you made it to this point in the video, don't go anywhere. I really want to hear which of these helps you the most. If you've gone through any of these experiences yourself, I read every single comment. It would mean the world to me if you shared your thoughts and just connected with me in there. And if you want to work closer with me and a community of other brand owners, check out the Apparel Success Mastermind. There's a link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.